This step is one of the most crucial steps in the whole process. Come on, you know, what else do you want? You take a fry, take a steak. I've been eating this for like 2 years. I'm not sick of it. My name's Sam Braverman. We're here at Lori Jayne, and we're gonna make you our most popular dish, steak frites with our Lori Jayne au poivre sauce. People come here for our steak frites because it is one of the best versions of the dish that exists. On a slower day, we're gonna do about 40 or 50 steaks. On an average day, that number's gonna float between 80 and 120. To this dish, there are 4 main components. That's going to be our USDA prime steak, French fries or frites, which we make here. There's the steak butter that's cooked down from the steak trim with a bunch of lovely herbs and stuff. And then there's our take on an au poivre sauce. Step 1 of steak frites. Get some steak, cut it up. This is USDA prime chuck flap. The chuck flap is analogous to a boneless short rib, meaning there's going to be a lot of marbling, a good amount of fat, as well as like some intramuscular and sinuous fat. What we're doing here is trying to just get down to that nice, even, meaty chunk, and then portion you out some lovely 5-ounce steaks. Little guys like this, that's gonna go towards the staff. Also, we run specials with our excess trim. All the trim that you see JC pulling off of here, that's all going to form the basis of our steak butter. We're minimizing our waste, we're reinforcing the flavors and layering the flavors. It's just how we do things at Lori Jayne. So the steak butter is going to be our final basting product for the steak once it's finishing up on the flat top. Step 2, make the steak butter. We're gonna take our trim, some thyme, some rosemary, and then a ton of butter. Cook with unsalted butter. You can always add salt, dog. It's harder to take it away. Steak butter, I'm not gonna say it's an original concept. It's just another way to not waste a product. We take the steak butter, we go over here, and now that's gonna rock for at least an hour to 2 hours. Last step for the steak butter, a little closer to the end, we're gonna add in our garlic. We don't want that garlic to burn, so that's coming right at the end and just infusing a nice garlicky burst into that. Everybody likes herb garlic butter on steak. This is that with more steak in it. Step 3, make the fries. With steak frites, there's 2 core components to that dish, steak and French fries. For our French fries, for our frites, we like to use Idaho russet potatoes. We try to get 70 count potatoes. That means there's 70 to a box. So these days, in an average day, we're doing 150 to 200 pounds of potatoes. First thing we have to do is rinse the potatoes right over here. I have a few I already did that for. And then these guys will go over here into our potato punch. We punch them at a 1/4 inch thickness. That's kind of like your classic McDonald's shoestring, fat shoestring, batonette, whatever you'd like to call it. Imagine doing this like 250 times. That's what we're looking at just to get the fries to that next stage in the process. When they're coming out, that's what a French fry looks like, you know? They're good. What you guys see here is equivalent to, let's say, 5 to 8 portions of steak frite fry once they're parred off and come up to temp. So of our total yield for an average night, this is about 1.5 to 2%. And now it's time to get them soaking in our acidulated water. We want to take some kosher salt, add that into some cool water, going for about 2 tablespoons per 50 pounds of potato. Then we're also gonna add in just some white vinegar, about the same amount. This step, soaking the fries in water, is one of the most crucial steps in the whole process. It's gonna help regulate the starch content in the potato, draw out excess starch we don't want, keep in the good starch we do want. If you skip this, you will not yield as good of a final product. If you do not blanch, rest your fries, soak them in the water, the end product is going to be floppy, it's gonna be slightly brown and discolored. There's totally delicious fries made like that, like Five Guys, you know, or In-N-Out. They're punched and immediately dropped into the water, and that's why so many people complain about In-N-Out fries. They're like, they're limp, they don't have the crust. It's because they're skipping that integral step, and they're not double frying them. So now we wanna top these off with more water. If we don't cover the potatoes fully with water, they will start to oxidize and brown. We don't want that. We want nice, evenly colored potatoes. We're gonna let these soak for at least an hour, and while we're doing that, we're gonna get working on the AP sauce. Step 4, make the sauce. To get that going, we have to break down a bunch of shallots. To make a batch of our poivre, it takes roughly a gallon of shallots. I believe that works out to like, I want to say 10 pounds. If you have a cast iron at home, or if you're in a commercial kitchen working with a griddle, you take this guy and follow me over here. You can throw that on the griddle, and that's gonna help season the griddle so that whatever you're cooking next has a really good release, gets a nice sear. You don't have to be worried about sticking, rust, any of these things. The reason why we use shallots as opposed to, say white or red onion or something like that, the shallots have a more nuanced, delicate flavor. It kind of ends up being somewhere between like a sweet onion and some garlic. It kind of makes space for all the other things that go in this sauce. Take your rondeau or wide bottom saucepan, and then you're gonna take your shallots over here. We're gonna load them in a couple at a time to the Robocoup. Pulse, 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 pulse. And then once they're getting down, then we're gonna take our shallot and we're gonna put them all into this pan. If you are at home and you cook food, get a rubber spatula. You can do so many things with it. It's freaking great. And at this point, if you have a little variation in the size of the shallots, that's okay, because at the end of the process, we're actually gonna strain all these out. You're not gonna even eat these shallots. We're just gonna infuse the sauce with all their flavor. This is a sauce with a bunch of components and processes, and that helps with layering the flavors throughout, so that when you get that finished bite, you're gonna get peppercorn at the front, then some creamy, then like a little bit of that allium vibe, like all of that rocking together to create this like luscious, happy, never broken sauce. So this is our steak butter. Pour a nice generous amount on there. And then we do also add in a smidge of extra virgin olive oil just to help that cooking process go along. It's time to start cooking them. So at this point, the shallots are gonna start roasting gently in the pan. We are gonna be stirring them throughout. We're just kind of trying to like sweat them now and get them down to a nice translucent period where they'll start to release more of that aroma. And then we're gonna start adding more stuff and building the sauce on top of that. So our shallots are just about there. They've been roasting for about 30, 35 minutes. We're gonna go in with a really generous scoop of garlic that we're mincing here. And then believe this, we're gonna do it again. It's awesome. Who doesn't love garlic? We're starting to get some darker bits, so before this goes any further, we want to start adding our other liquids, which are going to help this all come together and pull any fond off the bottom of the pan that we want for our final product. It's time for the booze and the other stuff. This is Douce Cognac. Thank you, French. You're going for very, very generous 2 to 3 ounces. We'll put the cognac in there, let it rock for a moment, and then while that's starting to bring everything else together, we're gonna take about a quart of white wine, like a nice Sauvignon Blanc, a Chardonnay, that kind of classic food rule of 10% better than your cheap wine will do here. We don't need to cook out all of the alcohol right now, but if you see now, when we scrape the bottom of the pan, all of that flavor from the shallots starting to caramelize and even stick a bit, that's going into our sauce now. In here, we have our other flavorants. This is tamari fish sauce. This is kekat manis. That's gonna be a sweet thickened soy sauce. And we also have some lemon juice and sherry vinegar. Now we have all these guys in here, and you're gonna see this color start to take on a more, darker, deep brown, just shy of black hue. And that's where we wanna be at this point in the process, because remember, we're about to start adding a ton of cream, and that's gonna lighten the whole thing up a lot. This is one of our final processes. We're gonna take our house-made chicken stock, and we're gonna dump a whole bunch of it in. And we're gonna let this reduce. This is about 6 liters of stock. We wanna bring this down to about 4 to 5, and then we'll add our cream in. The sauce is pretty much done. We're just gonna let this rock together until that cream comes to a boil. Once the cream is at a boil, we'll then cut the heat, add a little bit more of our hard herbs, and then we just strain this out and it's ready for service. Step 5, put it all together, make sure you seasoned it. We're gonna take our steaks, very generously season them. All right, then we're gonna come over here, get our beef tallow, That's gonna help us form that crust. Now we're gonna take these guys. If you don't hear that sound, it is not hot enough. We wanna let these rock for about 3 minutes or so to form that real hard crust on there. We do cook medium rare, sometimes a little closer to rare, because it's damn good meat and we want you to have that. While those are hanging out, I'm gonna get our peppercorn blend ready, toast those off and start working on that. What we have here are some green Sichuan peppercorns, standard black peppercorn, and then we have the red Sichuan peppercorn. So we take all our peppercorns, give them a nice gentle toast, right until they start to become fragrant. Once the peppercorns are done toasting, these will get blended up and generously added to the au poivre sauce, and that will form the true au poivre. Our steaks should be just about ready to flip, and it's at this point that we're gonna start hitting them with that steak butter. So by doing this, we're gonna start to break down any of that excess intramuscular fat, and we're just infusing this with a lovely, beefy, buttery, herby, garlicky flavor. We're gonna pop a dome on there. We're gonna let that rock for about a minute or so. So those steaks cook for about 7 or 8 minutes. We have to rest those for at least 7 to 8 minutes. If you're at home and you have the time, rest them for like 12 minutes. It will only be better. All right, it's time to plate up. Check it out. We're gonna take our fries. We're gonna load that boat up. We wanna have a nice, even bed for your steak to sit on. Take our steak. Fan them out right there. Fan her out. Beautiful. Tiny bit of mulligan. It's already a very salty dish. Take our sauce. So whether that's a whisk or a ladle, you should see all the peppercorns in the sauce. You should know that you are getting a peppercorn sauce. A rain of chives. Shower them in chives. And this is our most ordered dish. It's served with chopsticks. I am a Jewish kid from New York City. I love Chinese food. Also, this is the best way to eat it. All right, like watch. We're gonna go over here. We're gonna pick out our favorite piece of steak. And because we're feeling crazy, we're gonna double up. We're gonna go for 2 bites of steak. Everything's okay. I've been eating this for like 2 years. I'm not sick of it. I'm bringing 1 home. I'm bringing 2 home. I'm feeding all you guys. It's good. Enjoy shit. I'm going to have lunch.